Hi friends, it's your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Professor Dungeon Master's fantastic list of the top 20 most popular tabletop role-playing games of 2025. This list was constructed by checking the number of events that ran at 2025 Gen Con. I thought this was really a brilliant way to determine the winners in the tabletop role-playing game scene. So let's talk about it. All right, so what is number 5? Number 5 is made by Goodman Games. Goodman Games has been around for a long time. I think they may be one of the few, I think only 5 companies. So get this, I could be, yeah, I'm pretty sure of this. So in 2003, I think that's when they launched the original, when Ryan Dancy brought out the original OGL for Dungeons and Dragons. And there were no less than 100 companies that spun up and began making, and Dungeons and Dragons said, hey, anybody who wants to can make official sellable content, right? This was the birth of third-party content creators, right? And 100 companies easily spun up. Now, from that list of those 100 companies, only 5 are still in business. And Goodman Games is one of them, which is really, really interesting. So now, number 5 by Goodman Games is DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics. Okay, so what is my experience with Dungeon Crawl Classics? Oh boy. Okay, so let's get into it. All right, so my experience with Dungeon Crawl Classics is about 7 or 8 years ago. I think that's when it came out, right? I was in an FLGS and I picked this thing up and I thumbed through it and I was like, oh, this is just a D&D clone. And I was like, I didn't see any art, I didn't see any layout, I didn't see any rules that even remotely interested me. I have never been impressed with anything on the DCC line. I don't know why anybody plays it. It is, I honestly, and I'm a little frustrated that it even exists because I think it's taking bandwidth that Dungeons & Dragons could really use. But it doesn't matter. They do not need me as a fan. 155 events earn them the top 5 slot. And as an OSR game, that's pretty impressive, I have to say. In fact, I think the only other competition they have on this list is from the OSR is Shadow Dark, right? Which is at number, it didn't even make top 10. Shadow Dark didn't even make top 10, right? So I am actually stunned to see that DCC is outperforming Shadow Dark at Gen Con. That's pretty amazing. I would never have guessed this. And this is one of the reasons why I am just absolutely flabbergasted at the quality of this metric, right? Like, because I really don't think anyone who's tracking the TTRPG scene is doing it as effectively as this list did it. Like, this really showed winners and losers, and I was just absolutely incredibly impressed with how, and then my point is, like, I would never have guessed that DCC was this strong, right? I really would have guessed that DCC was really struggling, not doing well, and on its way out, right? So I was absolutely blown away by this, and Goodman Games, all my frou-frou, I'm not impressed, doesn't matter, right? They're performing. This is very, very impressive that they would end up number 5 on the list. That is incredible. One thing that's really interesting too is I don't understand, like, Shadow Dark is really such a strange product. So many more people are talking about it. It has so much more passion, but its numbers didn't show, right? Like, it's being outperformed by DCC, and I would never guess that. Like, I have never seen DCC run at any table. Not a single friend I've ever talked to has even mentioned DCC, but it clearly has a community, right? And I love that that Professor Dungeon Master's list is unearthing these secrets. I really think this is a secret. I think one thing that really kind of impressed me was with Professor Dungeon Master's metric is, I don't think there's so many things we think based on what's happening on the internet, and the internet really does not paint an accurate picture. The internet presents a caricature of reality. It doesn't present reality. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.